In the heart of the old city, where narrow streets twisted like confused thoughts in the minds of its inhabitants, there was a legend surrounding an abandoned house. It was said that this house was once home to a mysterious family, and in its basement lay ancient books and horrific crimes. It was believed that the souls still trapped within awaited someone to free them from their torment. The night in that house was said to be darker than anywhere else, filled only with faint whispers of the ghosts that resided between its walls. When the rain fell, the water would pool around it, giving the house a terrifying appearance, as if it were bleeding. A group of friends gathered that evening, driven by a mixture of curiosity and courage, to uncover the secrets of this forsaken abode. Their hearts pounded wildly, yet their passion for exploration was stronger. As they approached the door, a fierce wind swept through, as if warning them to stay away. The door was firmly shut, but they found an open window on the upper floor. They climbed to the first floor, where their flashlights flickered ominously, and strange sounds slithered through the air, like ancient screams calling out to them. The moment they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them with a deafening thud, freezing their hearts in their chests. They were trapped, with no choice but to move deeper inside. They wandered through dark rooms filled with dust and cobwebs, every corner filled with the sensation of being watched. One of them discovered an old mirror, and when he gazed into it, he saw a figure standing behind him. But when he turned, there was no one there. This vision sent chills of terror through their hearts, as if something was intent on scaring them away. Upon entering the final room, they found walls covered in terrifying drawings that seemed to tell a bloody tale. There was an image of a suffering family, and children crying in the corners of the room. Suddenly, they heard a noise from the basement, a sound like corpses being dragged across the floor. Yet their curiosity propelled them onward until they succumbed to the eerie sounds. As they listened, shadowy figures materialized before them, as if beckoning them to descend. They made the fateful decision to venture down to the basement, where an oppressive darkness enveloped them, and only their voices dared to illuminate the oppressive gloom. But what they found there was more horrifying than they had ever imagined. They were greeted by an otherworldly atmosphere, the stench of decay suffocating the air. In the center of the basement stood an ancient table covered with books, some of which appeared new despite the desolation of the place. As they approached, they discovered that the pages were filled with spells and mysterious rituals. But what terrified them most was the chilling sensation of something moving behind them. They all turned and saw a shadow advancing toward them. It was a dark figure with glowing red eyes and an endlessly stretching body. It seemed to watch them intently, lurking like a predator, as if every step they took drew them closer to a dark fate. In the midst of the chaos, the friends made the desperate choice to escape, but their nightmare began to manifest before their eyes. As they struggled to ascend, they encountered even greater horrors, as if the house itself had become a living entity, refusing to let them leave. As the friends raced toward the stairs leading to the roof, their hearts pounded like the winds of a fierce storm, feeling as though footsteps were chasing them through the darkness. The closer they got to the light filtering through the windows, the louder the sounds of the creature pursuing them became, as if it was devouring the very air around them. Sinister laughter echoed in their ears, penetrating their minds like a haunting melody. Suddenly, the door leading to the staircase slammed shut, freezing them in their tracks. The sounds of their ragged breathing filled the chaotic atmosphere, hearts pounding in terror, while distant screams questioned their presence in this cursed place. When they tried to push the door open, they found it growing more solid, as if bound by an unbreakable magical knot. Their laughter dissipated, and they lined up in a row, exchanging fearful glances. The room was illuminated once again by their flashlights, but this time, everything felt different. Instead of normal walls, they saw eyes dancing in the darkness, silently watching them. Shadows twisted and formed shapes, as if reaching out to ensnare them. At that moment, one of the friends, the bravest among them, decided to confront whatever lay behind the door. He stepped forward, placing his hand on the handle, feeling a chill seep into his body, as if he were opening a gateway to hell. But nothing could deter him. He flung the door open with a sudden motion. They found themselves in a new room, but this one was even more terrifying. Paintings hung on the walls, depicting scenes of violence and tragedy, as if they spoke of stories untold. But the worst was what they discovered. The floor was littered with crumpled papers and dried blood, remnants of horrors long past. They sensed a presence in the room, an ominous spirit lurking. The moment they tried to breathe, faint voices surrounded them, pleading for their departure. But something compelled them toward a focal point in the room, where an old chest lay, locked with a massive padlock. With a mix of curiosity and fear, they decided to open it. But what they found inside the chest was more horrifying than they could have ever imagined. It contained grotesque statues of people, resembling the faces painted on the walls. It was as if they were the victims of this house, trapped in a time that had long ceased to exist. As they examined the statues, an inhuman laugh erupted from a dark corner, making them jump back. The dark creature appeared once more, with glowing red eyes that seemed to feed off their terror. Its form became clearer, resembling a blend of shadows and fading light. A faceless body with eyes that ignited everything around them. They rushed toward the door, but the closer they got, the more powerful the creature became. The walls seemed to close in on them like a trap, the darkness thickening. One of them screamed, staring at the creature, "What do you want from us?" But the answer was a suffocating silence. Amidst the chaos, the friends summoned their courage to flee, charging toward the room's exit. When they reached it, they found themselves facing a narrow, dark corridor. A faint light flickered at the end, as if promising an escape. But the creature was not far behind, tracking them swiftly, its laughter echoing in their ears like a siren calling them to their doom. With each step, the floor cracked beneath their feet, as if trying to swallow them whole. At that moment, they decided they must confront this creature, and one of them recalled a ritual written in one of the books they had discovered in the basement. They gathered their strength and began to chant the incantations. Yet the creature seemed unaffected, drawing closer as if the spells only empowered it. But then, unexpectedly, they felt a force pushing them toward the exit, as if the spirits around them were helping them escape this nightmare. As they neared the light, they heard screams begging them to return, but they had no choice but to flee. Would they manage to escape this hell, or was a grim fate prepared for them in this cursed house? They continued running, but consequences chased them down. They had to uncover the secrets hidden within this house, or their fate would be sealed, just like those who had lost their lives in their horrific journey. The friends rushed through the narrow corridor, each one feeling as if their heart was racing against time. The light that guided them to safety shone in the distance, but the path was not as easy as it seemed. With every step, the darkness surrounded them, as if it were trying to pull them into the depths of hell. As they ran, the dark entity drew closer. Its thunderous laughter echoed in their minds, plunging them into a deep state of terror. "We have to do something," one of them shouted. "If we keep running, we won't survive." They suddenly halted at the entrance of a massive room, resembling a courtroom, but the atmosphere was horrifying. The walls were covered with chilling paintings of tortured souls, their painted eyes following the friends wherever they moved. In the center of the room stood a raised platform with a colossal statue that resembled the creature hunting them. "We have to face it," one friend declared bravely. "We need to find out what it wants from us." They began to approach the platform, each step heavy with dread. When they reached the statue, they noticed strange markings carved into its base, ancient symbols that seemed to hold untold secrets. Slowly, they placed their hands on the statue, and in that moment, a strange energy filled the room. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, cracks spreading across the floor as if opening a portal to another hell. From these fissures arose the faint echoes of screams, whispering that they should turn back, but there was no escape. They were determined to confront their fate. "Don't be afraid," one friend shouted. We're here to end this nightmare." As they began to speak to the statue, the voices grew louder, as if the entity chasing them was beginning to respond. "What do you want?" they asked loudly, trying to muster their strength against the creature. In that instant, shadows coalesced before them and the entity appeared more clearly. It was gaunt, its eyes burning with pain and fury. "I have been tormented for centuries, and I need your souls to survive." "But we won't let you do that," one friend bravely retorted. "We will free you from this torment." They gathered their strength and began reciting the incantations they had discovered in the ancient book. As they chanted the words, the creature writhed in agony. The sounds escalated, and the place ignited with a blinding light. But suddenly the statue began to crumble, as if some inner force was trying to break those bonds. "You don't know what you're doing!" the entity screamed, but they did not falter. With every word spoken, the entity weakened, and the air around them ignited. As they continued to recite the incantations, the room trembled violently, as if it were about to explode. Then, in an unexpected moment, a massive door swung open in the wall, as if inviting them to escape. The lights twinkled, and feelings of hope surged through their veins. "We have to get out now," one of them shouted, but leaving was not easy. The entity continued to resist, but the friends pressed on. "Go to hell," one of them screamed. And at that moment, the energy in the room erupted, unleashing the cries of those trapped souls who had suffered for centuries. As the lights intensified, they felt surrounded by a cloud of illumination, and then something unexpected happened. The cloud exploded, as if liberating all the tormented souls, who surged towards the entity as if seeking revenge. Amidst the chaos, the friends seized the chance to flee from the room. They dashed toward the open door, leaving behind the creature that faded into the darkness, overwhelmed by the power they had unleashed. They emerged into the open air, into the vast space. The lights twinkled in the sky, but the screams still echoed in their ears. They had survived, yet they sensed that what had happened would never be forgotten. Deep down, they realized that the terror they faced was more than just a dark entity. It represented all the horrors buried in memory. As they stood outside, catching their breath, they exchanged glances, each carrying a different feeling. There was a sense of relief, but also a feeling of loss. "We did it," one of them said, but the response came slowly. "But we don't know what might come back later." And as they distanced themselves from the house, a shadow lingered in the window, watching them, as if the entity had ended but had not been erased. Every time they looked back, they understood that what they witnessed was just the beginning of a new journey, one filled with secrets and trapped souls. Thus, the story that was filled with horror and mystery came to an end. It showed how the courage of friends could triumph over darkness, but it also served as a reminder that terror may always be lurking, ready to return at any moment.